All right, y'all. So I am back with another review for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 4. Before I get into this review, I just want to take some time to thank you all for subscribing to this channel. This channel is brand new and I have finally reached 100 subscribers. And actually, as of today, I think I may be above 2. So y'all, thank you so very much. You know, I didn't fully understand just how much time and energy it would take into creating and editing these videos and putting them out every week. But y'all, I am so happy to do it. And all of the new subscribers and the comments and the likes you all have given me, all of the love that you're showing this channel and my videos, it's really motivating me to keep on going and keep on creating and putting up this content. And y'all, I am just truly overjoyed and extremely grateful and appreciative to you all. Now, with that said, I'm thinking about pivoting and moving away from doing a faceless video, a faceless YouTube channel, and transitioning into being on camera. This is something that I think I'm gonna kind of play around with this weekend for next week's video. If y'all are on board with this, do me a favor, down in the comments below, just send me a little heart emoji, a thumbs up, or just say yay or nay, yes or no, positive, negative, you know, whatever you want to do, but just send me a little something and let me know that you're on board with this transition. So now let's go ahead and get into this review. Scene 1. Angela is at the park stretching like she's about to run a 5K. Brit and Mimosa pull up. Mimosa's in the dog stroller. They're catching up. And Angela says she's been busy renovating her investment properties. Angela asks about Brit's husband, Mike, and Brit damn near chokes on a bug. Literally. Brit is walking and talking, catching flies with her mouth open. So after she spits the flies out, they get back to walking and talking some more. And in Brit's confessional, she says that she wants to get to know Angela because she doesn't have a lot of girlfriends. And she takes friendships very seriously, but doesn't feel that a lot of women do. So they're walking and talking some more, and they're hot and they look hot. So they find a bench to sit down on. And Brit is asking Angela about her family. And Angela says that she and her sister aren't seeing eye to eye at the moment, and that her mother, LaMargaret, is caught up in the middle. Now, she made the mistake of including her family in her marital business. And the relationship with Charles and Angela's mom and sister started off great, but then it shifted. LaMargaret formed an opinion, and I'm assuming that's based off of what Angela may have disclosed to her. So LaMargaret voiced her opinion to Charles, and they had a huge argument over cleaning up that escalated and blew up. So now, y'all, in episode 2, Angela highlighted how much of a neat freak Charles really is. He does most of the cooking and cleaning, and to me, he definitely comes off as an alpha male. And it just seems like if things aren't done up to his standard, then that would cause an issue. And he also seems grumpy as hell. So 2 + 2 is adding up here for me. And I could see that man blowing a gasket if like all the labels on the cans in the pantry, if they're not facing straight forward, you know, like it's giving a little bit of sleeping with the enemy vibes. So apologies were had, but Charles has not let it go. So now, y'all, I'm going to say this. If you want to keep a peaceful relationship between your man and your family, you know, I get that you want to confide in your family when you're frustrated in your relationship, when he's off, you know, acting an ass or, you know, not doing right. But if you do not plan on leaving that man permanently, do not open up your mouth and say a word to your family, because when y'all get back on the same page and everything is cool with y'all are copacetic, you try bringing him back around your family and see how they're going to react. And you cannot blame your family members for feeling a certain way. You've given them information about this man, about what he may or may not be doing at home. And so you're leaving it open for them to form an opinion and eventually voice an opinion and even act on it. So, yeah, if you want to keep things copacetic with your family and your man, just be very, very careful about what you're disclosing to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers, to anybody outside of your relationship. What goes on in your relationship, that's really between you and your man. And if he's not putting hands on you, if it's not something that you're going to permanently leave that relationship for, then maybe confide in your therapist, find you a therapist off of BetterHelp or something like that, and not your family or your friends. So now Angela says that she takes care of her family financially. So a lot of the tension between her family and Charles is stemming from it. And I'm not going to put anything on this man because I just don't have enough information. But from what I have seen so far this season, it seems like he's always in a bad mood. He called the ladies lame after Shamea's party, and it just feels like he wants no part of this show or really anything at all. Brit says that sometimes when you try to extend help to your family, it can backfire. And she knows this because she's gone to Mike when her sister needed help. And when Mike put his 2 cents in, her sister claimed that Mike was trying to act like her dad. Brit and her 2 sisters were daddy's girls. And her dad passed away suddenly from a blood clot. Her older sister, Cher, took it the hardest, and the relationship with the sisters suffered. They just have not been able to get it back on track. So now at this point, the ladies have had enough of sitting in the park on that bench in the hot sun. So they get up and start walking to leave. Angela tells Brit that she's throwing a get together and that she's invited all of the ladies. Yes, y'all, even Shamea. She feels that she and Shamea got off on the wrong foot. And in Angela's confessional, she says that they both threw jabs at one another, but she's still open to hashing it out and moving forward. And I say, good for you, Angela. I am so glad she's willing to try it again with Shamea because truly, they were both in the wrong at Kelly's fundraising event last episode. And now y'all know Shamea is my favorite, but I also like what I've been seeing of Angela so far. And I think these two could really hit it off if they're able to overcome this little hurdle. Angela says Shamea was giving off mean energy. Then Brit comes back and uses the opportunity to kind of take a dig at Kenya. She says Shamea has been warm and welcoming to her, but that Kenya, on the other hand, has been very snooty and is, but that she can come off the same way, so she wanted to give it a chance with Kenya. Brit says she knows she can throw some jabs out, but she doesn't mean anything by it. Now, Kenya has also been known to throw out some jabs, and she has been so nasty and so rude to certain folks. Shout out to Nene. So nasty and so rude. Y'all, I miss me some Nene. Lord knows I do. Anywho, Kenya has been very, very shady in the past, and I can see how some of it was fun shade, similar to what I think Brit is saying here. But Brit says she's giving Kenya one last chance, and if she comes out her sideways, she's going to be on that ass. Now, Brit, you were being a little weird about Kenya and that whole hug situation in the first episode, and it was giving a little fangirlish type vibes. However, I'm going to throw you some bail because from my view, I felt that you were coming from a genuine place and trying to get to know and bond with Kenya. And I can see how that little dig she made about your wedding band could make you feel away. Now, coming from Kenya, I feel that this was just her throwing some fun shade. But at the same time, you have to have some kind of rapport with someone to be able to throw that fun shade and not have the other person take it so personally or so seriously. And especially when you're first meeting someone. And I think that Brit did take her dig a little too much to heart, and Kenya could have just kept it light and cute. But it's a new day, which comes with a new opportunity for those two to try and become cool. Whatever shall they do? Well, there is a little bit of foreshadowing at the end of this scene. So the editors made sure, they're shady as hell as well. They made sure to include a shot of the caution sign up at that park that reads, "Watch out for snakes," at the end of the scene. And y'all, when I saw that, I damn near fell out my chair. That was good. That was good. Bravo. 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 Scene 2. So y'all, my favorite Shamea, hey Shamea, she's at home chilling out by her pool, singing some of her lyrics to her amazing new single, Never Had. Her sister Tawana walks out, they hug, sit down, and Shamea is busting open a bottle of bubbly. She tells her sister that she's been in the studio with Butta Love, aka RL from the group Next. Y'all, Butta Love was my ish back in the day. Y'all, I used to love me some RL. That man was so fine to me. And they could have sung me right about in my little skimmies. I'm just saying. If you know, you know. And if you don't, after you listen to this video, go ahead over to Spotify or Apple Music or hell, even YouTube, and look up the group Next and take a listen. Shamea wants Tawana's opinion on the song and to hear it for the first time, but after they have a sip or two of this bubbly. So now the bubbly is poured and Shamea pulls the song up on her phone. In her confessional, she says that music has played a major part in her life. And she started off singing in church. She was also in several singing groups, including Co-Ed and Pretty Tony with singer-songwriter Carrie Hilson, but says she never had her shot as a solo artist. So now the song ends, and of course, Tawana loves it, as do I. And y'all, the song is fire. And I promise I'm not just saying that because Shamea is my favorite. That is an objective opinion, and I mean, she collaborated with RL. So, I mean, if it wasn't fire, that would have thrown me all the way off. She tells Tawana that Angela invited her to her dinner, and that would be the next time she would see all of the ladies. So she wants to play the song for them as well. Now, Shamea, I hope the women you're about to play this song for, your art for, values you the way that you seem to value them. And that's all I'm going to say for now. So Shamea basically says if the tables were turned and Angela started in on her the way she started in on Angela at that fundraiser, she would not have extended any invite to Angela. Back in her confessional, she's acknowledging how she came at Angela wrong. And Shamea says, I was a smooth criminal. Y'all, she had me cracking the hell up. She says, I was a smooth criminal for telling her she looks like LaToya Jackson. But then she says, now I'm going to have to moonwalk my way out of this. Then she holds an imaginary microphone up to her mouth and sings, Your nose is mine. Shamea, damn it, girl. Stop making me laugh. And this shade towards Angela, girl, get Kenya together and teach her how to throw some shade, because this right here in this confessional is the epitome of fun shade. I swear to God, this girl is hilarious. So Shamea gets a little serious after all of that, and she tells Tawana, how can she be advocating for sisterhood, then turn right around and go after Angela the way that she did? She wants to turn it around and extend an olive branch to Angela at the dinner. So then this girl pulls out her phone and proceeds to order, I think it was a bottle of Pompeii olive oil off of Instacart. Child, no. I don't know if this was shade or if this was like for real. But since Angela is really proving herself to be the bigger person by including Shamea in this dinner, I feel it's only right Shamea do the same. And I'm so glad to see Shamea is not holding any grudges here. Scene 3. Porsha walks into a team meeting at her Pampered by Porsha offices, and her team, which consists of her assistant Lauren, not to be confused by her previous assistant, aka her sister Lauren. Y'all, this is a completely different Lauren. Her cousin London, and London looks a lot like Miss Diane, y'all. Can y'all see it? And her creative director, Johnny. Now, they're already there conducting the meeting, and y'all, can Porsha be on time for anything? So the team is talking about how her Pampered by Porsha line has sold out in Bloomingdale's. Like I've said before, these producers be producing. Porsha takes her seat at the head of the table. She sits down and she talks about how she previously shifted from going into the office to working from home so she could be there for her family and do what she can do on the side for work. But now, due to the big change in her life, the divorce, she's back, y'all. She's back because this here is now her bread and butter. And so she's basically saying Mr. Gudabia isn't around to provide that financial cushion anymore. So it's time for Cinderella to take that slipper off, put them Louboutins back on, and get her ass back to work. Now, her plan was to retire at 40, but 40 has come and gone. That ship has now sailed. But she feels like she lost a bit of her identity in this relationship and lost some of the power behind her name with her businesses. So now it's time for P. Willie to reintroduce herself to the game. Allow her to reintroduce herself. Her name is P. Will to the illy. Y'all, I'm up here being silly as hell. Anyway, the team talks about expanding her Pampered by Porsha line. And right now, it's just sheets, but she wants to bring in duvets and comforters and home decor. She is building a $1 billion business, y'all. So her hairline, Go Naked Hair, is looking for ambassadors, but they must be serious about their content. So now y'all know Drop It by Drew is one of Go Naked's ambassadors, right? Well, so Johnny says Drew reached out to him, wanted him to sit down with her and Dennis and help Drew with her music career. So not only is Johnny the creative director for Porsha's businesses, he is also a music exec. And so he says, when in the hell did Dennis become Quincy Jones? And baby, I said the same damn thing like 2 episodes ago. So in Porsha's confessional, she reiterates that the main boundary she set in place for Dennis is that he not film with Drew. She says the situation with Drew is giving single white female. You can rock the bundles, you can rock the wig, but honey, you will never get the gig of being Porsha's replacement. And that's on baby Jesus. Amen. So now she says Drew has not been adhering to her Go Naked Hair contract to just wear the effing hair and not to be trying to set up photo shoots and do all the extra shit that she claimed that she was doing for Go Naked. So now Go Naked Corporate will be handling Drew. I said corporate. Say what now? And just then she says that there is indeed a corporate team. They have HR. They have lawyers. They have free coffee in the break room. Child, they have everything, okay? But they are legit. So Johnny asks, what's the phone number for corporate? And Porsha says, oh, you have my number, don't you? Girl, I know that is right. Cinderella has kicked her African prince to the curb, and the carriage has turned into a rose and ain't never going back into a pumpkin. Amen. So y'all, on a serious note here, it was brought to my attention while I was preparing this recap that Porsha's cousin London, who was filmed in this scene, she passed away several months ago. So I do want to offer my sincere condolences to Porsha and her family. Scene 4. So y'all, we're at the Sedoras. Sorry, y'all. Just a little shade there. We're at Drew and Ralph's shared dwelling for the time being. And Wreck-It Ralph is pretending to be a coach, blowing his whistle like a gym teacher, having the kids run drills out in the front yard. Drew walks out of her designated entrance, the front door, and walks on over to where Ralph and the kids are. Drew's baby girl says she wants Drew to run too. And Drew says, you gotta ask daddy if I can do it. Y'all, Drew's little girl, her kids are adorable, period. But her little girl, she looks just like Drew. And regardless of how I feel about Drew, and I'm gonna stop being so hard on her, but regardless of how I feel about her, her daughter is adorable. Baby girl tells Ralph, mommy's turn. And he says, go ahead. As if Drew is one of the kids. Child, I wish. Drew gets to running, Ralph tells her not to tear an Achilles. He's trying to crack a joke. Ralph, you are so funny. Ha ha ha. In Drew's confessional, she says she and Ralph are much better as co-parents. She can make the best out of the situation between she and Ralph when they're with the kids, for the kids. And she's leaving all the court stuff to the courts to handle. And I think that is very smart because if Ralph keeps representing himself in these hearings, he's going to bury himself all on his own. So the kids go inside and drop it and wreck it, stay outside to chit chat. Now, this is the first time we're actually seeing Ralph all season. And honestly, I could have done without this little confessional here. Ralph is sitting in the confessional. His cleavage is exposed. His titties are out, saying that all he wants is 50-50 custody of the children. So then the producers ask, why did you come here without a damn shirt on, sir? Why are your titties just hanging out? The producers say, it looks like you're outside now. And he says, I'm inside with my kids. Mm-hmm. Okie dokie, sir. Drew is happy that she and Ralph can coexist without any drama, but says that her son Jojo has been quiet and he's not really been asking anything about what's going on with his parents. But then Ralph says, Kai brought me an article, and it was a published article with a big headline talking about Drew's divorce. It's been put in the court order that neither Drew nor Reckitt should be speaking about anything related to the divorce in front of the kids. Children carry much more intelligence than we give them credit for. They see everything, and even though they may not speak up on it, it is in their head. Now, Ralph says he's been self-reflecting because Drew has been sending him all kinds of articles about narcissistic behavior. He does not feel like he is a narcissist. She feels like he is. Now, y'all, when I think about narcissist, my mind, it automatically goes to serial killers. Like, think Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer. But on the second hand, I mean, I believe the man cares about his kids and all, but I do believe he shows a total lack of empathy for his own wife. So, you know, maybe he was tracking Drew according to the court filing. So, I mean, yeah, that kind of falls in line. That kind of tracks. So Drew says that they need to communicate more when it comes to the kids, and that if Ralph wants the kids and take the kids, she would not keep them away from their dad, the narcissist. She doesn't feel that the court order is working out in their best interest. And Ralph, he very quickly comes and says, oh no, it's working out great for me. He loves being in the lower level penthouse. Y'all, that's what he dubbed it. And then why did he use the film crew to shoot an episode of Cribs? This fool is giving them a tour of the basement. He's sitting in the theater, posing, chilling. He's behind the bar, pretending to shake up something in the shaker. I said, what in the hell is going on up in here? Did my cat jump on the remote to change the channel again in the middle of my program? Or like, what the fuck am I watching? So Drew says she understands why the marriage did not work out, but that they'll always be family. Ralph says he really was in the marriage. You know, things ended up the way that they did. So then he says, well, Drew, it's your weekend, so peace. He chucked up the deuces and then he started walking to his car. He said it was time to go home. Now, I'm wondering, where is he going? He lives in the basement. Y'all, he doesn't have a separate home. I know they have a separate entrance for him. So what is he getting in the car to drive around to the side entrance so that he can go home? I mean, this whole ending here, it was weird as hell to me. Just throw the whole thing away. Scene 5. We see Kelly and Kenya getting together at Kenya Moore's hair spa, and it really is a vibe, y'all. The interior is beautifully decorated and furnished, and it really does look like a very relaxing space. So Kelly asked what the building space was before Kenya got it, and she says there was nothing there and that this is a brand new build out. Kenya reached out to Kelly to get some advice on a hair spa because they're both business owners and Kelly's businesses have really taken off. So Kenya is looking to pick Kelly's brain a little bit. So they sit down and Kenya asks about Kelly's bodyguard situation. Pan to her bodyguard, standing there just adjusting his blazer, looking so uncomfortable. And Kelly says the bodyguard is because of her ex, Mark. So Kenya has a mark and Kelly has a mark. You get a mark and you get a mark. And baby, I don't want a mark. Thanks to hearing about the dealings these two ladies endured with their marks. I'm too good. Kenya asks if Kelly's mark was abusive, and Kelly says, yes. He's threatened me in court, and he actually was held in contempt because he was acting crazy in court. Y'all, this man threatened to unalive her. So now she has a restraining order in place, and he is not allowed to see any of the kids because of his threats towards Kelly. She has the bodyguard to make sure that she is as safe as she can possibly be. And I don't blame her whatsoever because this man sounds cuckoo. He wants Kelly's businesses, which she acquired during their marriage. So the business is 8 years old and they were married for 11 years. This man is upset. When she left her mark, she told him he could have the residual income and that she was going to continue to run the businesses as she's always done. He threatened to shut the whole thing down and said she would have nothing without him. Now, Marky Mark truly sounds like a narcissist to me. That's a narcissist, plain and simple. Kenya said, oh, he tried to color purple you until you do right by me. And Kelly says she waited to excel him. K and K are really bonding. And you know what? This makes me wish we got to see more of Kenya's story this season. You know, I've been hard on Drew in my last reviews, and I've been a little shady towards Kenya. But when Kenya reveals her fear about making this hair spa successful and not knowing if it's gonna work because she's put $400,000 into it, so it has to work, you know, she starts crying. And I have to admit, I teared up just a little bit. And I don't know if it's the perimenopause or what's going on, but I really did feel for her in this moment. That kind of fear, you know, stepping out on faith and placing things into the Lord's hands and just praying everything works. That anxiety, it's 1,000% relatable. I get it. Kelly says, girl, God planted that seed to manifest the success, and it will happen. You know, one thing my mom has always said to me is that our thoughts are not always our own. I can certainly attest to that. Sometimes that seed that's being planted, you know, if you act on it, if you water it, if you nourish it, it will grow into something great. Now, I'm not going to get to preaching right now because y'all, I will just say I absolutely loved seeing the support being shared between these two ladies. Kenya is making me start to see her in a different light here. But child, don't make me eat my words. And I have a feeling I'm going to be having to eat these words next week. Scene 6. Brit pulls up in her G-Wagon to a restaurant. And she's meeting up with her older sister, Cher, y'all. Now, in the previous episodes, she has been talking about how much she missed her sisters. So this makes me happy that she's actually getting together with at least one of them to try to reconcile. Brit walks in, and then Cher comes in, and they sit down, they're seated, and then they get to talking, and Brit is asking about her nephews because it's been a month since she's seen them. And Cher says, yeah, you need to see your nephews. That's why I'm mad. In Brit's confessional, she says that Cher is 3 years older than she is, and she reveals that in high school, she was bullied. So Cher would pull up and pop off if needed to protect her little sister. Brit asks if Cher has spoken to their mother, and Cher says she did, but she ended up blocking her, and she had to do so to protect her peace. Brit says, well, you block me when you're mad at me. And Cher says she was hurt. She felt left behind when Brit got married, and she's seeing the same thing with her other sister. So she just kind of felt like she was left out there alone. To add to that, Cher will call Brit just to have a conversation and Mike is sitting right there listening to the conversation. Y'all, when you're in a relationship, I mean, I understand, you kind of get lost in one another. You get lost in your spouse. But when you have people that feel like you are a safe space for them, and so they reach out to you to vent, or, they're feeling depressed, they just need to talk. They're not trying to talk to you and your man. You don't need to be putting your man on the phone saying, speak to Mike, talk to Mike, or, he don't need to be sitting right there listening to the conversation. Again, if you are a safe space for someone, you are that safe space. They're calling to talk to you, not you and your man. I trust you. I don't necessarily trust him. So if I'm calling to get some stuff off, I don't want him all in my business, and don't put him in my business like that. That's not fair to share. And it's really not a jealousy thing. It really isn't. She's not jealous of your relationship. She's not jealous because you're in a relationship and she may not be. She just does not want to lose you because of your relationship. So Brit says, listen, help me to help you by just telling me, hey, I need to talk to you about something, or let's go to dinner and have a one-on-one. And that seems fair to me. That's fair. You have to communicate. So that seems very fair. Now they tell each other that they love each other, they miss one another, and Brit does not want to be closed out anymore. Cher, says, I respect your relationship. And they basically say that they'll just do better. It ended on a positive note here, but y'all, will it last? Will it last? Because there seems to be a lot of tension amongst the family members in her family. So, fingers crossed, prayers up. Scene 7. Drew, where are you going? Y'all, this is a question I always have when I see Drew in her scenes lately. So here she's looking like she's on her way to the club to do battle or something, or like to perform. I don't know what's going on, child. So we see Drew popping up at the studio to lay down some vocals, and her producers are there. And oh, well, would you looky here? It's Dennis, the producer hot dog man. Okay, so now the outfit it's making sense to me. I see you, Drew. So he asked her if she's performing tonight. Same thing I said. And she says, yeah, in the booth. Okay, girl. She's there sliding on him with her EP, executive producer, Dennis, and she's feeling herself. Dennis and the producers are telling her, you're single now. You got to turn up on him like you're single, girl. And she says, no, not yet. I haven't signed on the dotted line. Plus, she's gotten into some trouble lately. And girl, I don't know if Porsha is privy to this little filming session with Dennis, but if you think you've gotten into some trouble lately, just wait. You just wait until Porsha finds out, because this was the boundary that she set up for Dennis. So, I mean, who is Drew, right? But Dennis is the father of her child. She's had a conversation with Dennis, and she made it very, very clear that this was not to happen. But I guess Dennis is feeling himself too. So now Drew is asking to speak with Dennis privately. So the producers leave the room, and she's asking Dennis if he can talk to Porsha and kind of smooth things over, because, she asked Dennis if he had talked to Porsha before about filming, and Dennis told her that everything was cool. Then she got into it with Porsha, and Porsha said hell to the nah. And so she's like, what's up? And Dennis is like, when we started all of this, she was over in Nigeria somewhere eating fufu. So I didn't feel the need to run anything by her. So, Drew was like, can you just clear the air between us? And Dennis says, Mom will let you handle that. Right. Just like a man, because you already know what's up. You already know. And like I said, Porsha can't really come at Drew for anything. And honestly, she can't really come at Dennis for anything either. That is the father of her child, but they are not together. Porsha then moved on, got a whole husband, now is going through an entire divorce. So, I mean, they are far removed from that relationship. In Drew's confessional, she says that at this point in time, the door is closed on she and Porsha. She's tried several times to reach out to her. Porsha didn't want to talk. And Porsha likes to wait until she's ready to address things. So if this happens, cool. But if not, cool. After this little chit chat with Dennis, Drew hits the booth and speaks her lines several times. Bitch, I need to breathe. Bitch, I need to breathe. I need to breathe. I need to breathe. I just got a new weave in my hair of some Porsha pee. I need to breathe. And Dennis and the crew are like, yeah, that's going to be a hit, y'all. That's fire. Y'all, goodbye and good night. Scene 8. Y'all, there is so much going on in this scene here. So we started off with Angela, and now we're at the dinner that everybody's been talking about. Angela was throwing. The dinner is being held at the Bank, and the Bank is a restaurant in Bankhead. Get it? The Bank, Bankhead. So the ladies are all getting ready for Angela's dinner. Porsha FaceTimes Shamea, who is still getting her makeup done, and says that she's trying to think of how she should apologize to Angela. Girl, you didn't order that Pompeii off of Instacart. Let's see what you're going to do with it. The ladies are saying that the Bank is in a dangerous part of town, and Angela does not care. She's like, we going to wine, we going to dine, and we going to have a good time. Charles and Angela arrive first, and Angela walks in looking great, y'all. She was looking fabulous. Her nose was glued down. It was in one place. No nostrils were lifting. And she's excited about how everything looks. The Black Girl Magic wine bottles are sitting about the bar. And y'all, if you've never tried Black Girl Magic wine, do it. I am in love with their rosé. It's not too dry. It's not too sweet. It is very balanced. And y'all, this is not an ad. I promise you it's not an ad. But I'm just saying, if you know, you know. So the theme of this night is Black excellence. So on the invite, again, Angela has specifically asked for everybody to show up being dressed in black. Brit, Kelly, Drew, they all arrive dressed as the invite has instructed. And y'all, you know, there's always one. There's always one that wants to stand out and wants to do their own thing. And guess who that was here? Miss Twirl, of course, Miss Kenya Moore. She comes in wearing emerald green. She claims she did not have anything that was all black. And you just couldn't go out and buy something, Kenya? I mean, so anyway, my favorite, Shamea, the star, has arrived, and she looked absolutely fabulous, y'all. She was wearing a shimmery black beaded number. It's a dress. Her ass is all out. And y'all, both she and Kelly decided to rock that give 'em ass look. They went with that theme, and both looked really, really good. But out of the two, I gotta hand it to Shamea. So Shamea walks right over to Angela and apologizes right away, Pompeii bottle in tow. And there's a branch sticking out of it. So Angela says, oh, Charles cooks with this olive oil all the time. We love this olive oil. And Shamea says, well, I don't want him to cook with this. But Shamea apologizes to Angela for attacking her physical appearance and says that really is not like her and that she wants to start over. Now, I'm not just saying that because I absolutely love me some Shamea, but I really did feel her apology here was heartfelt and genuine. And I'm glad Angela was big enough to receive it. Y'all, that's how it's done. That's how you apologize and make a true effort to move forward. And Angela, she could have very easily been like, F Shamea, I don't want her in my presence. She ain't coming to this dinner. But she rose above the pettiness and welcomed Shamea with open arms. So they hugged it out, and all seems to be great between them at the moment. So Shamea feels good. Angela feels good. They're all about to dig into these salmon bites and these peach cobbler egg rolls. Honey, that menu was sounding so damn good to me. So Kelly turns to Drew and says, now, you said you were bringing your sister to my fundraiser, but you brought her and your stylist, and he didn't buy a damn thing. And Kenya wouldn't be Kenya if she didn't dig deeper and pose a question to be a little messy. She says, well, did everyone buy something? And Kelly says, no. And Kenya says, well, who didn't buy anything? And Kelly looks over at Drew. And Drew was like, not true. I got a blazer for my son. Drew then proceeds to hand Kelly her phone so she could see the text exchange between she and the Balmain associate. And Drew says, you see it's a group text, right? And Kelly says, I see Dennis texting you. And all the girls were like, ooh. And Drew says, you see it's a group text. Other people are on that text. Now, y'all, it was at this time that the camera panned to Porsha. And she was laughing and all, but it wasn't like ha 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 laugh. It was like, this bitch kind of a laugh. I caught that. So in the confessional, Drew says that she spent $2,000 on this blazer for her son. And Kelly is perturbed because she says, I invited you to my fundraising event and I expect you to support the cause that I am raising these funds for. And you're showing me a text message thread between you and this Balmain rep, but I don't see any receipts showing that you actually made a purchase. Now, Kelly, I'm going to say this. People come to the event, they tell you that they bought something, just go with that. They don't need to show you any receipts for what they bought. And if you find out on the back end and you know for sure that nothing was purchased, leave them off of the next invite. That's all. She does not need to show you her receipt. What the hell is that? So then Drew asks Kenya about the hair spa, and Kenya says she's having a grand opening and that all of the ladies at the table are invited. So then Shamea tells the ladies that she's recorded a new song and she pulls out her cell phone to play it for them. And the song starts and they all ask, girl, is that you? And Porsha immediately responds and says, no. And Shamea says, it's me. So Porsha says, you don't think I know your singing voice? And Shamea says, you have to listen. Listen, listen. So the song keeps playing and the ladies are all loving it, except for P. Willie. Now, girl, this is your best friend. This girl has had your back. She's been your ride or die. She almost got into it with Angela over you. And this is how you come back and repay her. This is how you shade her in front of everyone. Y'all, the streets are saying that Shamea and Porsha's friendship has dissolved. Dissolve like Black China's face fillers. And you know what? Now I'm seeing why. This is the wrong road, Porsha. Wrong road, wrong road. So the song is done playing and all the ladies are clapping except for Porsha. She's just sitting there at the table looking like Drew normally looks. She's just looking lost as hell. And she says, are you on it? Now, it would have taken everything in me not to come across that table at Porsha at that moment. Like, what the hell are you doing? This is your ace. Are you taking your frustrations about Dennis out on her, about Dennis and Drew? Because that ain't it. Not at all. So Porsha's talking about, that's Drew. In the confessionals, Drew said Porsha was being shady. She and Shamea sound nothing alike. And Porsha says, it was no shade towards Drew. She thought it was Drew because it sounded good. Okay, girl. So that was shade towards your bestie then. Got it. So there are bank deposit slips sitting on the table and the girls ask, what are these for? So they go along with the theme of the night. Angela said that they were there so they can all write down questions for one another anonymously. And then they were all going to go around the table and ask and answer. So they all asked Shamea how she thanked Big Daddy Gerald for her birthday rose. And so Shamea gets up and she starts to show us how she thanked Daddy Gerald. It was a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but she thanked him. Y'all, Shamea is crazy. She is a mess. So then they ask Angela if she's ever had a threesome, and she says absolutely not. She's not about that life. She doesn't play like that. Porsha then says, well, I heard Charles was a little spicy, and I've heard some things about Charles. So then Angela is like, well, what did you hear about my husband? And Portia's like, no, I'm not going to say. I'll save it. Porsha, girl, are you okay? Like, what is going on with you this night here? You are on something. You're coming at your bestie all wrong. Now you're telling women that you've heard things about their husband, but you're not going to say? Oh, hell no. That would have been it for me. Porsha would have had to go. Now, Angela is much better than me because she let it go. And unlike Kelly and Shamea, Porsha's outfit was not sheer, yet she's up here showing her entire ass and playing in Angela's face. And in Angela's confessional, she does call Porsha a stupid bitch under her breath. But the mic was hot, girl, so we caught that. So then the questions turn to Kenya, and they ask her what color panties she has on. And she stands up and shows them. Okay. The next two questions are also for Kenya, but the last question here is what set it all off. So they asked Kenya if she could speak to Brit kindly without an attitude. And Brit says, I swear that question was not for me because she's the one reading it. Kenya says, I can speak to everyone kindly and with respect, and I feel like I have. And Brit says, yeah, but right now we're talking about me. And Kenya says, you know what? Okay, girl, you can have it because you're here looking for a moment. Go ahead and have your moment. And Brit says, this is not a moment. And Kenya says, yeah, it's a big moment for you. And Brit says, you're having a moment. Do you need to step out? Kenya says, I am the moment. I'm not playing these childish games, and peasants cannot come for the queen. That word peasant sent Brit over the edge. Angela is trying to offer Kenya and Brit her olive branch from Shamea to try to defuse things. And Brit says she didn't send for Kenya. And Kenya thanked Brit for using her catchphrase. Whoa, baby. Angela says, okay, we're going to wrap this up. So the ladies get up and they gather their partying gifts. Brit tells Kenya to get the F up out of here. People are calling each other bitches. They all start to head out. Now, remember, I told y'all, they said this part of town is dangerous, right? So Kelly, Brit, Drew, and Shamea, they're all congregating around the entrance, waiting for the husbands and cars to pull up. And Kenya walks past the group and asks Drew to come and chat outside. And Brit says, oh no, we're not done. We're still here catching this moment. Drew and Kenya start heading out the door. And Brit says, let me go ahead and call my husband. And Kelly says, you want to call and see if he's outside? And Brit says, I mean, I still got my pistol, so it's all good. Kelly says, well, her bodyguard, Kenny, is there, so they ain't worried. Now, Shamea, Porsha, and Kenya, they all pack their gifts into Porsha's car. Mike shows up and Brit is still going off. And she says, I had to let that bitch know, don't play with me. They leave out the entrance and Brit is saying that she doesn't play that Hollywood-ish and she don't play them type of games. So she's talking about whips and pistols and don't play with her. And I'm like, whips? Whips like whips and chains? Like, girl, what's going on? Brit, what are we doing here? Kenya and them, they all standing outside around Porsha's car. And Brit looks right over at Kenya and says, you gonna be respectful around here. And if you don't know, you gonna learn today. Today is the day you gonna learn. Kenya and Shamea hop into Porsha's car and they pull off. Now, we don't see what's going on inside the car. The mic is still on. So Kenya tells Porsha and Shamea that Brit gotta go. She was talking about pistols and whatnot, and I want her to do something to me so she can go. Now, Kenya, in hindsight, I'm thinking that didn't age too well, Chica. Now, to me, Brit did totally overreact. She was already feeling some type of way about that hug situation from 3 episodes ago, and she's feeling a way about the pat on the back situation at this dinner. And she just totally blew the whole situation out of proportion. So after hearing her tell us about how she was bullied in high school, y'all, it's starting to make sense to me. She's had a hard time making friends with other women. And hear me out when I say this. Hear me out. This girl, she's carrying around all of that trauma from back in the day. She has not worked on it. It doesn't seem like she's healed. She's showing us that in the way that she's dealing with Kenya. I think maybe she had an adoration for Kenya before they started filming. And so when it wasn't reciprocated, which I mean, you're really meeting Kenya for the first time on camera at Shamea's party. So what do you expect? I think Brit felt slighted. It probably took her back to when the girls in school would bully her, and maybe she felt excluded in some kind of way. But nonetheless, when Kenya answered the question about speaking kindly to Brit, Brit should have just accepted that answer. Kenya, I feel, was being very cordial and very polite with that response. And Kenya and Kelly clicked. But hey, not everybody is going to click like that right away. Or they may not even click at all. Brit, you just have to accept that not everybody is going to like you. Hell, like Beyonce, one of our most beloved entertainers. Not everybody likes her. That's life, girl. Kenya is not your tribe, and that's okay. But what you cannot do is lash out like you did at that dinner. Behavior like that will keep you stuck. And, it'll stunt your growth. You cannot let anybody, and I mean anybody, hinder your growth. You cannot let anybody take you out of your character. You handed the control right over to Kenya at this dinner. So, y'all, that was the end of the episode. Next week is about to go down for real at Kenya Moore's Hair Care Labs. And this is the episode we've all been waiting for, y'all. This was a good lead up, and I cannot wait for next week. So y'all, let me know what you think. Let me know if you are having a different take. Let me know if you see a different side of the situation. Let me know if you think Kenya maybe instigated this with Brit, or if you also think that Brit really overreacted. Let me know if you think Porsha has been way out of line this episode. I do, and I think she needs to reel it all the way back in. With that, y'all, I'm going to bid you adieu. This was a long review, and I apologize for the lengthiness of it, but I think it's warranted given what happened in this episode. As always, y'all, stay safe, stay blessed. Don't forget to tell somebody that you love them today, even if it's just yourself. And make sure that you comment down below. Let me know if you're ready to see me on camera next week. Like, share, and subscribe. And I will see y'all next time. Love y'all. Peace.